I bought a lot of books. So let's do an unboxing. First of all, stunning. There have been so many new releases and so many books that I just want to get my hands on that I've been dying to read. Some newer recommendations that I've been wanting to pick up. So I kind of went a little crazy and I bought a few in store. I ordered quite a lot, so we are going to talk about them. If you are new here, hi, my name is Tessa, and if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you can see more of my videos. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for coming back, and I'm so excited for this video. So I'm gonna go through, give you a little description of the book in case you are interested as well, and we'll hopefully get through a lot of these books fairly quickly. We'll see. I will start with the first two books that I actually picked up in person. Now, I will say a few of the books that I have ordered, I just could not find them in person. I would always look and maybe they were sold out or they just didn't have them in the store that I was in. So the first book that I picked up was Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Baston. This author, I've never read a book by her before, but this book was like a book club read for April, and that's why I picked it up. She is the author of Ready or Not, which I've heard amazing things about. However, I have not read that book. I have maybe picked it up, so you'll see that. But Promise Me Sunshine follows a girl kind of towards her 30s. I think she's getting into like being like 30, 31. It is a fiction book. Lenny is our main character and she is grieving the loss of her best friend. So she's learning to live again after cancer stole her best friend. She's avoiding her parents, she's avoiding her apartment, and the only thing she can really handle right now are babysitting, like short-term kind of arrangements. So she decides to babysit for this overworked mom named Reese, and her daughter Ainsley is the kid that she's babysitting. She is just so adorable, so innocent and funny. There's a guy that always seems to be around, which is Miles, Ainsley's uncle. Miles can just see right through her. He knows a lot about grief and decides to help Lenny get through this stage in her life. She has a laminated list of like things she wanted to do in order to live again. She promised her best friend, and so Miles is kind of helping her accomplish those goals in that list to be able to live again. So it's just so adorable and I cannot wait to get through this book. I feel like, one, the cover is stunning, but also just the story I just feel like is going to be deep, but also amazing, if that makes sense. So Promise Me Sunshine is the first book that I picked up in person. Also, I realized that the next book that I was going to talk about, The Nightingale, I didn't just buy that. I thought I did, but I think that was because I was going to buy the special edition and I didn't end up buying it. So I thought I just like purchased the regular one recently, but I do think I purchased that one a few months ago. So I'm not going to talk about that one because technically I didn't just purchase it. Let's get into some of these. I don't know what's in here, and honestly I couldn't even tell you what I ordered. So first one, oh okay, this is perfect. So the first book that I ordered was Ready or Not by Cara Baston. So again, same author as Promise Me Sunshine. Let me see what this book is about because I didn't read it before I purchased it. All right, very interesting. So Ready or Not follows a girl named Eve Hatch, and she loves surprises, except she doesn't expect anything different every day. She kind of goes around her life always expecting the same thing. Tomorrow's always the same as the day before, until she experiences a one-night stand that leaves her pregnant. So it's like a surprise pregnancy kind of thing, and her best friend Willa has a brother named Shep. So Shep ends up stepping up to help Eve through this 9-month process. However, she has him who's starting to look pretty attractive, and then she has the baby daddy who makes her more conflicted about what she wants in life. So it just follows that 9-month span of love and family and life really, and figuring out, okay, maybe she wants more from life, maybe this is where I want to settle, or this is where I want to settle. So I'm interested. The top little blurb, I guess you can say, says a surprise pregnancy leads to even more life-changing revelations in this heartfelt, slow burn, friends to lovers romance. So you can kind of see where it's gonna go. I'm excited about this book. Again, it kind of gives that spring vibe just with the cover, so I'll let you know if I read this soon. Next one we have, again, don't know what it is. We'll find out together. All right, so we have Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. Summer Romance is just that. It is a summer book and it follows Allie Morris. She is our main character and she has found her life an absolute mess lately. Her mom died 2 years ago. Her husband left her, so she's a single mom and she's just kind of going through this, kind of like the other book actually, now that I'm thinking about it. She's kind of just going through day by day, kind of doing the same thing. She's not going out much. She's not getting ready. She's not putting herself together until she decides to change that. And she steps up, she puts nice clothes on, she goes out and she meets this guy and he sees right through her. He can see her for what she truly is, whereas she's kind of blindsided by all of this mess. In Allie's mind, a summer romance won't hurt. No hearts will be broken. It's quick, it's easy. We'll see if that's actually true. So I am excited about this. I did order, I will say, a lot of like spring summer books because that's the season we're going into. So this can also help for some recommendations if any of these seem interesting to you. Quick summer read. This one, I'm excited. Hopefully I like it. I feel like the single mom kind of thing always makes me a little hesitant because it can go one way or the other. So you just want to make sure it's like a good balance. Getting into the first box now. I'm so excited. So these two books came out yesterday. Now, I really wanted to go in person and buy these books. However, I had to babysit my nephew, so I worked earlier in the morning until the afternoon and then I had to babysit, so I couldn't leave to drive and get these books. So I ordered them just for an idea. It's April 2nd. So these books came out on April 1st. You might already know where I'm going with this. The first book is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I'm so excited. First of all, stunning. I don't have any hardcovers of her books, but I really did not want to wait until the paperback came out to read it because I know I'm gonna love it. I love Abby Jimenez. I've talked about her so many times before, and obviously I had to pick this book up. Obviously. This book, I'm actually unsure if it's dual point of view. Yes, so it is. It follows Samantha and Xavier Rush. And Xavier Rush is like the picture perfect man. He's sculpted by the gods. He's just perfect. However, Samantha's first interaction with him is far from perfect. So they go on a date and she just wants to forget about it. She wants him to forget about it, pretend like it never happened, because it's just not in the books for her with everything that's happening in her life. But he just can't seem to get away and she can't seem to forget how good it felt to be with him. They go on a date, they're fighting for it, but it just isn't working out. And I do feel like this book is going to break me. I have heard it is more emotional and deep than some of the other books. Like all of her books have some deep emotional connection in them, but I did see in an interview that this one specifically, sure, it's like supposed to be a nice fun book. It's not. There is that deep aspect. So I'm interested to see how I feel about it and the emotions that, you know, happen. Really. So that's Say You'll Remember Me. The Conditions of Will follows a girl named Georgia who is currently living in London, and she is a professional lie detector and body language savant. So she's been estranged from her family, her sibling, from South Carolina for quite a while now. There was a specific falling out that they had, so she hasn't talked to them. She hasn't been there for quite a while, and she has a gay brother who's an alcoholic. And the reason that's important is because she goes back for this funeral for her father, who just recently passed away kind of suddenly, but bumps into Sam Penny, who is her brother's AA sponsor. Once meeting Sam, she starts to realize that these emotions and these feelings are starting to grow for Sam. However, she finds out that her brother is also harboring feelings for his AA sponsor, and she does not want to hurt the only family she's ever had because of these emotions. So it's kind of taking you through that like teetering family kind of issues, and obviously some deep internal personal issues with some of the characters. So again, I'm very excited about this book, and I'm also curious to how it's going to make me feel, because this will be the only other kind of series, I don't know if it'll be a series, but the only other book other than Magnolia and Daisy Hates that I've read by Jessa. I did not ever read the Peter Pan retelling. I own it, I just haven't read it. So we'll see how this book makes me feel, and let me know if you're interested as well. Her covers are always so stunning, and like there's actually like so much depth into her covers that is like one of my favorite things. But anyway, The Conditions of Will was the next book that I picked up. Getting into our last big package, there is quite a few books in here, so we'll just kind of pick through it. This book might actually shock a few people that I have not read it, but that is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I don't know, this one and People We Meet on Vacation kind of scared me away because it wasn't one that a ton of people loved, at least not people that I knew of. So Book Lovers follows Nora Stephen. Her life is books. She reads all of them, and she lands enormous deals as a literary agent for her clients, and she has a sister named Libby. Now Libby begs her for a sister's kind of vacation getaway, and she decides to go. So they go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina in the month of August. She keeps bumping into a gentleman, which I've heard a lot about, honestly, and that is Charlie Lastra. He is an editor. So even though she might think, oh, this is like meant to be because, you know, she reads books and she keeps bumping into him. However, every single time they've met, it's never been cute. With that being said, as the story kind of goes on, they find out that they've actually written stories about themselves. I cannot wait to read this book because I've read almost every single Emily Henry book except for this and People We Meet on Vacation. So let me know if you loved this book, and hopefully it's a book that I get to soon because I absolutely loved Beach Read, Happy Place, Funny Story, all of those. So, and she also has one coming out next month, so this is one that I definitely want to get off my TBR or like want to read list. The next two books are actually like a standalone series-esque kind of thing. Like you can read them out of order, but they're all part of the same series. So the first one is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This book I've heard absolutely phenomenal things about. So it tells the story of Win, or Winifred, and she has everything kind of laid out for herself. She's independent, she hasn't needed much help, and she likes it that way. That is until she hooks up with Beau on a one-night stand and finds out she's pregnant, and everything kind of comes crashing down. She's unsure if, why are all of the books I got like pregnancy tropes? A little bit weird, but anyway, someone had to say it, right? So out on a limb, it follows Winifred. She hooks up with a guy named Bo at a party and she ends up being pregnant. She keeps the baby and Bo is seemingly really ready to like step up to the plate and help and make this work. However, Win is very unsure if she can handle this challenge in her life. They're finding out things together because obviously they don't even know each other. So they're finding out things about each other and they're embarking on this parenting journey together and figuring it out together. So very cute. Again, heard phenomenal things about this. The next book was Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young, and I was a little unsure of if I wanted to pick this book up just because I feel like it was a very mid kind of book from what I've seen. And let me read this one because I don't know too much about this one. Just by reading the back, I do feel like I might enjoy this book quite a bit. So it follows high school sweethearts Sarah and Caleb. They are married. They got married at 19. Sarah is kind of losing herself. She's starting to wonder who she is without her other half there and decides to take on a project by herself. This is a fundraising gala. However, when it all comes crashing down, Caleb kind of steps in uninvited to save everything. Relationship, their marriage is just falling apart and they decide as a couple to join a couples hiking group who works through struggles with couples and helps them kind of bring back the spark back into their relationship. The cover again is just adorable on some of these books. It's kind of small, but I figured this would be kind of a nice quick summer read-ish, and even if I don't get to it this summer, I feel like it would be like nice going into fall. I decided to talk about a different kind of genre now, and that is, I think this is gonna be my first like dark romance book that I've ever read, and it is God of Malice by Rena Kent. This is the Legacy of the Gods series, so this is the first book, and this is one that I could not find in stores because there's so many, and I have heard that you can read them out of order. I have heard that they kind of, sorry about the dogs, that they kind of lose the character development because you start out of order. So you can read them out of order, but I decided to go in order. And some of the books in store, because there's so many, is like the newer ones. So like 4 or 5, whatever. So I ordered this one, dark romance, and honestly, it's like a mafia kind of thing. Never read one of these before, and I'm excited. So our main characters are Killian Carson and Glyndon. I think Glyndon is our girl. So Killian is a predator wrapped in a sophisticated charm. So he's cold-blooded, manipulative, and vicious. Glinda, however, feels like she's never been anyone's favorite. Her mother and brothers are artistic, and she knows that she'll never kind of live up to everyone's expectations. However, Killian has no expectations. She kind of knows maybe it's better to run, but she thinks, you know what, if I run, he'll chase, and maybe I want him to like catch me. I can already tell it's gonna be a very interesting read. Their schools are rivals and their families have been enemies since they were born. Their possessive, all-consuming desire may be able to drown everyone else out, but can two people with broken souls truly repair the broken parts of each other's psyche? I don't know. Has anyone read this book? If you did, let me know. I feel like this is a book that my sister might actually like, but on the front it says, I caught the attention of a monster. I'm excited. If you want me to read this soon, let me know. I feel like I'm kind of intrigued now that I've read it, but you do get both point of views, which I like. And I do think each book talks about a different character that you kind of learn in this book, from what I understand. This is also a very different read for me. It is a historical fiction with a little bit of romance, and I'm a little intimidated, I'm not gonna lie. So if you've read this book, please let me know. That is Homeseeking by Carissa Chen. This book, like I said, is historical fiction. It follows two people, Haewon and Suchi. I think that's how you say their names. And they fell in love. They have a soul deep love until Haewon secretly enlists in the Nationalist Army in 1947 to save his brother from the draft. And all Suchi is left with is a tiny violin and a note that says, "Forgive me." So it's following years and decades of separation between the two. And like I said, it's that historical fiction. So you're learning about like the history of war, like Chinese war, famine. The opportunity takes them separately to the songhalls of Hong Kong, the military encampments of Taiwan, and New York, California. You get to see Haewon's story from past to present or present to past, and then Suchi from childhood to present as well. So like I said, I'm a little bit intimidated by this book. However, I do feel like it's a different kind of read. We'll find out if I like it. If I do, maybe I'll pick up some more historical fiction. I do think the romance is going to carry it for me. We'll see. But definitely a different kind of read for me. I am glad I get a little bit of diversity in my genres. So this is a new one. We'll see. Ex Vows by Jessica Joyce. Again, I've never read a book by this author, and I have heard pretty good things about this book. It follows two characters, again, Georgia Woodward and Eli Mora. They broke up 5 years ago, and she has a list of do's and don'ts, and one of her don'ts is her ex. They do have a mutual friend named Adam who is getting married. They both have to come to this wedding, and he's the best man and she is the maid of honor, and so of course they have to work together. She kind of has to put away her present feelings that she still has towards Eli. However, Eli shows up with a new rule-breaking attitude, and the all-inclusive kind of venue that they were going to burns down. So it's up to them to find a whole new venue to make their best friend's wedding amazing. And as you can probably tell, perhaps a romance sparks again, and they work out everything that happened 5 years ago. This book, again, kind of like that quick summary, I think cutesy read that will be fun and quick for this year. We have two more books to talk about. The first one is actually a sequel to a book that I just recently read, I think last month, and that is Us Against You by Fredrik Backman. This is the second book in the Beartown series, so it's taking place after where we left off in Beartown. I feel like there was a very big cliffhanger kind of towards the end of that book. There were so many deep emotions that kind of went all over the place, and this is following up on all of that. So I'm not going to talk too much about this book specifically just because it is the sequel, so I don't want to spoil anything for you. However, Beartown, the first book, is a very small town, very little residents. Everyone seems to know each other, and they are very much known for their ice hockey. So that is like, that's their sport. That is what everyone talks about. That is what's important to everyone is ice hockey. Now, because of all of this, their junior championship is coming up, and they start partying. All of this is happening. You kind of see all of the characteristics and personalities of every single person, and this girl is the catalyst for everything to kind of come crashing down. So towards the end of the book, it's very heavy with emotions. I would definitely say like 50% of the way through is when I really started to feel a lot, and it sort of leaves on a cliffhanger. So this book kind of takes place and kind of carries that book through. What's going to happen with the ice hockey? Will certain people be held accountable? That kind of stuff. So that is Us Against You. The next book is Just Last Night by Mahari McFarlane. I don't know how to say that name. This is a fiction book, and our main character is Eve. So There's Eve, Justin, Susie, and Ed. They've all been best friends since they were really young, and now they're all in their 40s, and they're still going to bar trivia and spending time together until one night everything kind of changes and Evie's life is upended. She finds out that maybe she doesn't know her friends as much as she used to. She's secretly in love with Ed, and Ed also kind of still feels the same way. It's kind of discussing the aftermath of her life kind of coming crashing down. Secrets are revealed. Someone from her past comes back to the present and shows up again. Eve's future veers in a surprising new direction. So this is, again, a fiction, so kind of different than the other books, but on the front it says, 2 best friends, one missed chance, a night that changes everything. So yeah, that is all of the books that I bought. 13 books. And let me tell you, there is like 3 or 4 more releases this April that are coming out, so I'm sorry. I do want to mention I did order new bookshelves, so look forward to that video. This is gonna all change because I have way too many books. As you can see, these used to be like cubbies with my clothes, and I took out one, then I had to take out another one, then another one. So I'm out of room. So I ordered some new bookshelves. However, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe down below. If you have any opinions on these books and you want to let me know, please tell me in the comments, and I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye.